And welcome to Road Less Travel. Happy Sunday night. We are super excited to be here tonight with Bryan Duncan, uh, which has inadvertently become part two of our series of pioneers of Christian rock. You may know Bryan from Sweet Comfort Band, from his incredible solo career, Grammy Award winner, multi-Dove Award winner, um, preacher of nutshell sermons.
I,
He does it all, and
I
first
lost a
while
lot of Dove
comedian.
awards. Let's not get too carried away. I lost more Dove awards than I won, so there's that.
Uh, and Bryan Carmen, welcome for you as well. We're gonna have
Thank
to
you.
be careful about what Bryans we're talking about tonight because I'm out Bryan tonight,
Yeah,
which
we
is a
both
rare
spell it
thing.
with a Y too.
I was
And then
just
I
gonna
thought you
say,
were asking me. I thought you were asking me to talk about Carmen. I'm going. Okay, well I didn't know him that well.
hey Bryan, I have a question for you real quick before we get started. Did your mom name you or your dad?
Well, I was kind of young. I don't remember being in on the conversation.
Well,
Uh,
my dad named me. I found out from my mom and dad.
well, my name is spelled with an I on my birth certificate, I think, but I didn't like it. It looked like brain, and it got spelled wrong. So
Yep.
I like Bryan with a Y or with a Y.
So if you
Um,
so if you changed it, that means your mom named you. Because
so
usually,
that's a possibility. Well, she
yep.
called me a lot of stuff that I didn't recognize.
Hey you. yep.
Yeah, well, that would be a good one.
All right, so we usually start off the show talking about some music that we're listening to this week. We like to promote good Christian music. So, Bryan, what you got for us tonight?
Well, obviously, so everybody knows, Bryan. You probably don't know. I'm moving, so everything's packed up. So I kept this one out. This is my band. I do guitar and songwriting.
Okay.
We just released this last month or the month before. Dale Thompson from Bride is our singer, and Tracy Ferry from Boston, White Cross, and Striper did the bass on here.
Oh, cool.
And so, yep. So I've been listening to that, and it's like this. This is our best album in my opinion, and I really love it. So if people out there you're interested in some melodic, hard rock and roll, check it out. Full Armor. And then I just got this one because I gave my other copy to my brother Kurt. And this is an old band from Sweden. This Creed came out before the American Creed.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I thought I knew those guys.
Nope, a totally different band. From what I understand, they got together 4 people from different bands and made a supergroup. So this is kind of like a live recording of it, and there's some really good songs on here. So if you haven't heard of it, check it out. And that's what I have. Other than that, before my internet canceled because I'm gonna get ready to move, I was listening to other things on like Novella and stuff like that. And I did listen to some Bryan Duncan. You probably know him, right, Bryan?
Who?
So that's all I have.
All right, so I'm brought to you tonight by the letter T. I've been listening to some Theocracy.
There you go.
These are power metal, new metal guys that are super powerful. Got to see them a couple years ago live. Great show. And you mentioned Dale. I've been listening to his solo work this week. And this album actually has the song Road Less Traveled on it. And that's what inspired us for the name of our show. And then Three Crosses. It's more of a softer rock, kind of a folky kind of thing, a little country sound a little bit. But they did 3 albums, fantastic stuff, lyrically amazing. Bryan Duncan, what have you been listening to this week?
Well, number one, I don't have any CDs left. I mean, I don't even sell CDs at my concert. So, I'm going, what are those that you're holding up? That's amazing. My music is on my phone mostly, or my iPad, and what I've been listening to lately is one of the very first albums by Love Song. They were like the first real Christian band where I listened to Chuck Girard sing "Lend an Ear to a Love Song," and it was so nice you could kind of feel the presence of Jesus in it, and he didn't even mention his name.
Wow.
Chuck Gerard is in his final days. He has stage 4 cancer, and so I've been listening to the old music, the early contemporary Christian. It was before contemporary was anything, and now contemporary is nothing. Doesn't mean anything. And like, well, the Christian music from the 70s. That's what that was. And of course, the last thing that I listened to was Sly and the Family Stone, because Sly Stone passed away too, and I didn't know about Chuck Gerard till Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys died, and I know that Chuck used to do studio work with him in Hollywood all the time, and that's why they sounded so stacked. Their stacked vocals sounded real similar. So I called him, and that's when I found out that he wasn't doing all that well. So, but I just remember, there's been a lot of my crews that the people that I grew up with are passing away. So I've been listening to old stuff, and I've been writing songs. I've written two funeral songs. The Sweet Comfort Band got back together and did a new one in the last month. It's called "If I Knew It Would Be the Last Time," and we're doing a video of it where we're just gonna post all of the Christian artists that we worked with or we knew, and there's almost 50 of them that have passed away.
Wow.
Oh wow!
They go kind of quietly, so you don't notice them. They don't make the news all the time, but there was some good ones. You can probably, if you guys are into like the rock and stuff, I've got Michael Bloodgood in there.
Yeah.
But
I went to that last concert.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, I watched Ozzy Osbourne. Somebody told me he became a Christian at the end, but I'm glad I don't have to sing, my screaming songs, when I'm old. So.
Well, Bryan, you mentioned the Sweet Comfort Band, and we had a few weeks ago we had Bill Glover and Greg Hogue of the founders of Petra on, and they kind of shared that there was a little bit of pushback for them in the church for the style of music they were doing, and Sweet Comfort Band was very similar in style to what they were doing at the time. Did you experience that when you guys first started? Was there pushback from like the Christian community maybe, and you were more welcome in the secular?
No. Well, Petra started on the East Coast, I think, and so there was a heavier influence from churches, I suppose. We didn't see any of that early on. We were in the height of, there was Love Song and Children of the Day and Barry McGuire and Andre Crouch, and then there was a lot of rock bands like Blessed Hope and Red Sea and Holy Smoke, and there were just a lot of rock bands, Christian rock bands, and there was no real label on Christian music at the time. You could say whatever you wanted, which was really nice. You had more credibility back then, as somebody with a point of view. We didn't really start getting ladies trying to cast demons out of us till we got back to Texas. When we started touring outside of the state of California, and we got back east, we started to run into some of that, and places where they would have posters, or they'd have, those protest signs and stuff. I'm going, no kidding. I mean, we're doing all we can to get somebody to come to the gig, and you guys are out there saying, don't come to this gig. I got to tell you this one story, though. It's really funny. Is when we were on tour, we all had long hair and beards. Some of the guys had beards. I've never had one, but it's a rock band. We all like long hair. Our drummer had hair to his waist. And I remember we stopped at a truck stop, and we started to go into the little diner there. I think it was the Waffle House. We walked in, and it was all truck drivers, and it was in Arkansas, and they were all kind of rednecky, country clearly country music fans, and they ball cap wearing, and they took a look at us. And one of the best things I ever saw Rick come up with is he looks around the place and he says, "No, I don't see him," and we left because we could have been killed in there.
That's funny.
That was back when long hair. They were still singing like long-haired freaky people need not apply. Remember that song?
I do.
That goes way back.
It's one of my
Give
favorites.
me 3 steps. Give me 3 steps. Give me 3 steps, mister. And those were the, we don't smoke marijuana in Muskogee. Those were songs that were big in the 70s, and, there was kind of a quasi self-righteousness to it.
Reminds me a little bit. That story reminds a little bit of Uneasy Rider with Charlie Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
Same kind of a thing.
Wasn't that was a movie too, wasn't it?
Easy Rider.
Oh, Easy Rider. That's what I was thinking of.
That was a Fonda.
Yeah, I grew up in I was in high school in those days.
So how did going back to Sweet Comfort Band, the start of that, what was your journey from salvation? What was your salvation experience? What led you into getting into Christian rock at that time, and how did the band come together?
That's kind of a long story. Number one, I grew up in church. My dad was a Pentecostal preacher, so
Cool.
for me, it was a matter of sorting out facts from the fallacies. I was given all the questions or all the answers before I had the questions. So it's been a working out of my own salvation most of my life, and finding out what's true about what's in the Bible, and maybe that's why I'm still serving Jesus and stuff, because I didn't kind of go off the tracks or buy into somebody else's chili. You know what I mean? There's so many words of truth and people with canned names of prophet, prophetess, and apostles and preachers and mega people, and pretty soon you're going, man, I don't know. If you go to a church these days, you need to vet the thing and see what they're talking about.
Certainly.
I always ask for a doctrinal statement.
Oh yeah, I've never asked for that, but there's cues when we go into a church and people are talking about the anointing. I start to worry, because that usually means if they don't get a buzz off of what you're doing, then you don't know Jesus.
I've had somebody tell me that too. If I didn't speak in tongues, I wasn't saved.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of that kind of thing, and I discovered that I was a little nervous around churches that had a lot of flags. I don't know what that's all about, but they had the world country flags and stuff, or if they had a picture of the pastor and his wife in the lobby. It usually gave me the sense that they were running their own little kingdom, so to speak. And I'm going, I don't know. And if the name was longer than it would fit on a church sign, the Apostolic Christian Faith of God and Church Christ, that goes on like 25 miles, there's probably a warning signal in there.
Boy, we're right on the same page with that for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, at one point when I first went solo, at one point I even told my manager, I says, don't book me anywhere that has victory in the title, because we're not going to get along. Because at some point I'm going to tell you what my life looks like, and victories are miles apart sometimes.
Hey, Bryan, I don't know if you've ever had this, but with my previous band, Otherwise Broken, we didn't do any recording studio stuff, but we played live everywhere, and I got a gig. We got paid pretty good for it, but I didn't tell my band members what kind of church it was until it was about 6 hours away. About halfway there, I told them, okay, guys, I have to let you know we're going to be doing this concert at a Mormon church.
Uh-oh.
And all of a sudden, my singer breaks out his Bible, and we did a Bible study while the guy was driving our 7-passenger van with our trailer in the back. And it was a really good time. These people, even though we did not hold back the gospel. What we did was rock out heavy, tell what the song's about. And then midway through, we had an acoustic set, which you cannot, I don't know what to say. You can't get away from the gospel in that acoustic set. You can't say it was too loud or anything like that. And when we got done, the woman pastor told us that she loved our show, the message and everything. And we went home praising God because we just did a real Christian set in a Mormon church. That was just awesome. Have you had anything like you have a story like that?
I can't believe you played rock and roll in a Mormon church. I haven't been to a lot of them, but they seem like more cathedral-like and big, tall ceilings, and seems like the volume would be bouncing off the walls everywhere. I played in some halls like that were and gymnasiums that just echoed. You couldn't hear anything.
This was more like a regular building. It wasn't like what you're picturing.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the big time cathedral type Mormon churches that I've run across.
Yep.
Their spires are taller than most churches.
Did you ever have what kind of experience have you had that kind of made you step back and go, I can't believe I'm here doing the show? Do you have one of those?
Well, it depends on what you're, and it's hard to tell. I mean, there's been so many gigs, I've been doing this for 50 years.
Right.
So, I mean, there was a couple of times where, I just having problems with different kinds of worship services. Okay. And there was one that was, where they were kind of jumping around more. I grew up Pentecostal, so I've seen, triple backflips into one of these. But, this place was getting kind of scary. And I remember, I was waiting to play, and I went in the men's room and hid in one of the stalls because I'm going, I don't know if I can get along with these people. So, a lot of times, because there's, sometimes when people are real bombastic about their faith, they're a tad judgmental. I'm generalizing here in a horrible way, so I'm going, we should probably knock that off. But I've seen everything.
I'm sure.
In the name of God.
Right.
So, Sweet Comfort Band, how did that come together? What was the origins of that? What led you into that? And then from there to your incredible solo career.
Well, I came out to California because I heard Love Song, and those guys, they sounded like a combination of the Eagles and the Beach Boys, and nobody's done them justice. In those movies, they really messed that up because their vocals were crystal clean. They were really good. And I just thought, man, if those guys can do Christian music and make it sound like that, then I feel like I could do it, And so I came to California, and I came just to see them the first time at the Calvary Chapel tent. I went to college in Costa Mesa, it's Southern California, and I remember helping them set up their equipment, and they were so low key that I'm going, I thought they were like the Beatles, and I was thinking, wow, don't you guys have any sense of arrogance? No, they didn't. And they set up their own equipment and played flawless. And so I wound up playing there a few times after that, and I met Rick and Kevin, who were brothers, at the back tent flap at one of those Monday night Bible studies. I'd never seen a Bible study on Monday night that had 1,500, kids, under the age of 20. So,
wow.
So, they said they lived in Riverside. So that summer I quit college, and after I did some rehearsals with them and thought, well, this sounds better than I do by myself. And Rick and Kevin had been playing since they were kids, so they were pretty tight. And Rick had a double kick set like speed metal back in the day. So, it was just three of us at the time. And so Kevin is like, flailing on the bass, and Rick is just, triple speed. And so I just hold the chords down, and we sounded really full that way. So, that's the way the band started is, I lived in a garage in Riverside for about 3 years, and we rehearsed in it. every day for
Cool.
3 years. And then, you know, then there's 11 years of touring our brains out where you didn't have a social life, you didn't have any friends. You'd come home and you'd have to look for people, you know, because they didn't expect you to be around.
Interesting. I'm going to jump into our comments real quick because part of the show is we interact with our listeners, and we do have a question for you in one of the comments. My wife Chrissy's with us tonight, and she said she's so excited, and I shared with you earlier what she said when I told her you were going to be on with us, and she thought I was playing a trick on her, that we were actually having Bryan Duncan on. So,
well, you know, I'm glad it's not a trick.
so am I. And she said it's amazing music. And Rob Lowe's with us, and
Hey, Rob.
he says hi, brothers. What's up, Rob? And Ray Para, he wants us to tell you he said hi.
I know he wasn't saying hi to me. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Sacred Warrior, the band Sacred Warrior at all?
Sacred Warrior?
Yes.
Yep.
I'm not sure if I have. There's a few Warrior bands that I remember, and I remember Holy Soldier. A lot of the bands that I knew were on the West Coast, you know.
Okay.
I would eventually, when I went solo, I opened for Petra, so I was a little more aware, and I think they played with Sweet Comfort Band at Knott's Berry Farm, which is on the West Coast.
Oh, neat.
But, you know, if they were on the East Coast, you know, I didn't usually cross paths with them.
Ray's the singer of Sacred Warrior, and he also has a podcast called Is It Wrong, where he does kind of what we're doing.
I've seen that.
Okay.
Yeah,
And he does Worldview, does the band Worldview too.
Oh, I don't know that one either, but I've seen the podcast, you know, Is It Wrong?
Yep.
It sounds like he takes it from the way I do my podcast is nutshell sermons, but they're 2-minute sarcastic devotions because I'm constantly bringing up some kind of annoyance and going, what's wrong with this picture? It's like the last one I put up was, why is the devil still here? Because, you know, there's a couple of places where, you know, and Satan was cast down to earth. Earth! I thought he was going to hell.
Yeah, I love those nutshell sermons. They're a lot of fun.
You've heard them. Good.
So where did you get the idea for that and the baby? What?
Well, you know, it just keeps stringing along. You know, when COVID pandemonium hit, we couldn't play music. I mean, I found myself unemployed. So I'm going, man, I'm either going to have to go to work at a grocery store or figure out something to do because they won't let me do concerts. So I played at a church for a while, through most of the COVID years. But then I heard a thing on the news about how people were doing podcasting, and I found a friend that actually said, well, I make a few $100s on it, you know, a month. So I just thought, well, there's a start. And I said, well, I'm going to do a podcast. And I'm going, well, I couldn't do a podcast because, you know, the ones I saw were an hour long. I'm going, I don't have an hour's worth of stuff to say. So I thought I'd written a devotional that was kind of a smart aleck thing. It was called Prayers You Won't Hear in Church.
Yep.
and that was a hit. And they were only like 2 paragraphs long. So I thought, maybe I could do that, you know, maybe the thing's just 2 minutes long, cut to the chase, because I'm in my 70s now, and I'm going, man, I've sat on the back row at church long enough to know that, you know, I've heard this story 3,000 times, and you can finish the example and everything else, and, you know, I found myself turning into a bobblehead. Wait, I have questions. So I started, when I did this, I just thought, I'm going to do nutshell sermons for people my age that feel a little disenfranchised with church because the church is usually aiming at the young, hip, trendy things, and you sit on the back row and you feel kind of invisible. And, you know, they're playing music that you're not really all that crazy about. I'm going, there's no backbeat in this. What's the matter with these people? And Well, I don't know. I know that's probably not every church, but I kept running into that all the time. Just, you know, uh, the worship stuff sounded like church camp songs, and it just, or a dirge like they were on Prozac.
Yes.
And so yeah, I'm not making myself very popular on here, but these are just my thoughts, and they usually
the
come
beauty of
out.
this show is we're very real here, and we're not we're not trying to do the Christianese thing, or
Nope.
That's one of the beauties of what we're doing is we want to be relatable to real people. So have at it.
Well, I don't. The church doesn't need any more antagonists. That's for sure. The world is more nuts than it's ever been, as far as I can see. Is like, wow. You start hearing everybody. Social media has given everybody a platform, and now you hear from all the idiots. It's unbelievable. It's like, are you kidding me? That's what you actually believe. Have you read anything? Anything you'd find yourself in hot water. So I've stopped really bagging on churches, man. If somebody's trying to do something with sanity to present the gospel, and I'm there.
And the book you just mentioned, Prayers You Won't Hear in Church. And,
it's hard to get now. It's on. You can find it on Kindle, but I'm not paying for the marketing, so I'm going up. No, I'll put it up there. It's actually called Dear God, really, like, and then it's Prayers You Won't Hear in Church, and then they're just my prayers. Dear God, are we on speakerphone? Because there's people that know stuff that I didn't tell them. Or Dear God, I need you to kill someone. I know you won't do this for me, but So they're funny, and they're I've got some new ones now too. Prayers You Won't Hear in Church, but Dear God, I'll be right back. It's like, or Dear God, where was I? I lost track. I had some stuff to do.
How about Dear God, please hold?
Oh, there's a good. Oh, I got to use that. That'd be good.
Go for it.
Dear God, please hold. No, I wouldn't dare say that to God, because He keeps me waiting quite a bit. So I'm going.
Oh yeah.
Please do not hold.
There you go. But we like to put God on hold, right? Because we think we know better sometimes.
No, I think I know better most of the time, until you can prove me wrong. When it blows up in my face,
Right.
Because I have a way of being able to justify. And it's amazing what you can do with scriptures to twist them to your will.
Yep.
Like, well, the Bible does say.
So, is there going to be another book coming out?
Well, I don't think people read books, frankly. I've got friends. I've got a stack of books over here that people have sent me, and I don't ever get to them unless they're on Kindle, and you can, I've gotten used to being online to do it. And for me, everything just seems like it's a sound bite, so I've been working at trying to cut to the chase, keep it as short and succinct as you can. I noticed that when I was doing an interview years ago, when they first came up with that twisted wave file where they could record your voice and then he could go in and cut little pieces out to shorten it, I discovered how much smarter I sounded when I didn't say that kind of stuff. If you cut all that stuff out, you sound really brilliant. And so I'm going to start doing that. I'm just going to say what I want to say and stop the tape.
Perfect. Well, I've been really enjoying. And so, what was the inspiration behind the baby in the nutshell sermons?
Oh, well, Rich is a friend of ours that he's doing a documentary on the Sweet Comfort Band. He's the head of Mountain Moving Media, and he wanted to do that. And then he started watching my nutshell sermons, and I said, people were saying, man, you should be on camera and do this. And I'm going, man, I don't want to get on camera. You've seen the people on camera. They get on camera and they're yelling at you, and I'm going. It's kind of like a Karen. I'm going. I don't want to be that. So I said maybe we could make. And besides, I'm old, and my nutshells are edited so that it goes by at 100 miles an hour. I don't think I could do those like that. So I said, well, maybe we could do something with AI where you put the voice in somebody else's mouth and let them talk. And that was funny. We were laughing about it. And then he sent me one. It was a little baby. If you go to YouTube, you'll see why is the devil still here? And he's dressed up like in a little devil suit.
I saw that one.
And somehow coming from a baby, you can't get offended. You just can't. And suddenly you can say stuff that, if I said to you as an adult, somebody would be offended because, they always are.
Yep.
I'm going to jump back into our comments a little bit. Pat Carnes wrote a question for you. Have you ever given an altar call during your show or afterwards? Share with us an experience that you'll never forget. So something that happened now, while you're out there interacting with, say fans, but, where you had a really great interaction.
Well, I was never an evangelist. I don't play one on TV even. When Sweet Comfort Band was playing, there was always a Calvary Chapel pastor there, Chuck Smith or Greg Laurie, who's doing evangelistic crusades now. So, I was never really in charge of that. My job was to present music about Christ, and that's kind of what I've always done. And, I watched my dad do that for years. He was a Pentecostal preacher, and every night it would be, and now while every head is bowed and every eye is closed, how many of you would say, yes, if I were to die today, do you know where you'd spend eternity? And I'm going, okay, it started to become, for me, it wasn't genuine for something that I would do. But I talk to people before and after and give them a chance to hear. When you grow up in evangelism and you see people, just lobbing scriptures like hand grenades, I just didn't want to do it like that, and I never really have. I've been there for people coming forward, but I noticed that my dad would always take it personal if nobody came forward, and suddenly it was becoming a mark of his effectiveness. And I don't think God keeps track of the numbers of how many people that you particularly, and when I read this thing about one of the biggest changes in my life was when I read, it says, nobody comes to the Father except the Father draw him by his Spirit. And I'm going, all this time I've been trying to fix the world and thinking that I got to talk people into stuff. And I'm going, that's not the way God works. And
nope.
It was like with Love Song, that when those guys sing Lend an Ear or Welcome Back, they didn't even have to give the four spiritual laws. You could just feel it. You could feel the presence of God. And I'm going, I think we don't give God enough room to step in like he wants. Because, once we do something and it's successful, then we do that again. Like, wow, we got a buzz off of that. So we're going to do it that way every time. We're going to end with this song every time. And I just, I've pursued evangelism as a lifestyle, and that people would see what I do daily, or what I say on a regular basis, that it doesn't come off like a sales pitch.
Excellent. Well said. Leah's with us tonight. Hello, Leah.
Hey, Leah.
Hi, Leah. Hi, Leah. Okay.
And Joyce Carlson's with us.
Hey, Joyce.
Michael Bloodgood. Joyce is Les Carlson's wife.
Oh, I just said hi to. I saw Les on Tic Tac or Tank Top or whatever that was. Tank Top. Yeah, I don't think I've met Joyce, but I know Les pretty well.
Yeah, I've gotten to meet Joyce in person, and we've actually had her on the show. And I love Joyce, and I love Les too.
Is she singing in the band or anything?
Yes, actually, she's been singing and performing with Les in the solo stuff. There's some songs that she's done on the new album and on the previous album,
Oh, cool.
and refreshing and wonderful stuff to see. And just if you get a chance to check it out,
It's good to see them out there because I mean, they've been around for a long time.
Oh yeah.
I remember Michael Bloodgood coming out to my little. I was doing a little morning church service or something, and he just showed up out of nowhere. I'm going, and that was so far back. I barely know what year that might have been, but those guys have been around a long time, and the fact that they're still going, that had to be in a real setback. You never plan to lose the people in your band. We lost our bass player, so but that was after we broke up. So that record we were doing last was to raise money for his hospital, his medical.
Okay.
But he died before the record was done, and so the record's out there anyway. So, but it got us back together, and that's why we wound up writing that song. If I knew it would be the last time I'd see you. It'll kill you. And Michael Bloodgood's in that video too, by the way.
Oh, cool.
So when does that drop?
Well, we're kind of we put Chuck Girard, the singer from Love Song, in there because he's got stage 4 cancer, and he's not expected to get out of bed at this point. They said it was a matter of days a couple of days ago, but he was doing good today. So we're kind of just holding off until such a time that we hear that he's moved on, because I want him to be in this video with people that meant something to me. I traveled clear across the country because of Chuck Girard, so I want him in there. And I've already written some stuff for CCM magazine about his life and his impact on me, and I thought, wow, there's been a lot of people like that that had an impact on me, and it wasn't always stuff they said. First time I saw Michael Bloodgood, I hadn't seen the band. He just showed up, and you knew he was a rocker. Like,
Yeah.
he showed up at a Sunday church service just to say hi. And I'm going, wow, how many musicians come to see you? Not very many. So, from then on, I was highly aware of them just because they took an interest in somebody besides themselves.
So how did you get to be involved with the Reagan movie?
I don't know. The guy that was putting the music together, Mark Joseph, and he was doing movie stuff and mostly the music side of it, music soundtracks. And he calls me up, and this is like 8 years ago now. And he said, well, I was really a big fan of the Sweet Comfort Band, and I was wondering if you had any songs laying around, and I'd love to. I'm doing a couple of new things, and he talked about the Reagan movie then, and I said, well, we played at a Reagan rally once. I kind of liked him. He was funny too. He was like real offhanded, but he said, well, maybe you could write a couple songs for that movie. So he sent me the script. I think I got the script like 5 years ago, and I read it, and I couldn't relate to all of it because I'm not really in touch with the politics much. But when he got to the point of the end of his life where he had somebody telling him that he couldn't go horseback riding anymore, like he would ride his horse every day, and they told him, well, you've reached a point where he didn't know where he was at, and he was getting lost, and I'm approaching that now where I don't know where I'm at, and I don't have Alzheimer's yet, but it was scary to me, and I really related to the fact that he handled a decision that I haven't yet reached, where you have to say, I have to stop, do something doing something that I love. And that really struck me in the movie. So I wrote a song called Do I Say Goodbye? And we did another one too called My One Desire Is That You Might Inspire Me to Rise Above My Suffering. They didn't use that song, and but Do I Say Goodbye is on the movie soundtrack. And I didn't even hear about it. You know, we gave them a demo, and 5 years goes by, COVID hit. They probably couldn't get anything done. And then I see it on TV. I'm watching TV, and they're advertising the reggae movie, and I'm going, well, I guess they didn't use our song. It was with the Sweet Comfort Band guys. And but like 2 days later, I get a call from him saying, well, we'd like to use that song on the soundtrack, on the movie soundtrack. So then they wanted me to go in and record it for real with the real band. And so that's what we did last year. And they put it out. It's on the soundtrack. It's not on the movie. You know, because a lot of people wrote songs for it and they couldn't use them all. And Do I Say Goodbye was supposed to go in the place where he stops riding his horse. And they replaced it with an Arlo Guthrie song, which I probably would have voted for too, because you know everybody knows Arlo.
That was a good movie. So
yeah, I liked it. I was not underwhelmed at all. It was nice, and it was well done. And you know what I knew of Reagan was very small, but he was so offhanded and easygoing, even in front of people, that that I had no problem writing for that movie.
Okay, so you mentioned you're still writing songs. Is there another album to be expected from either yourself or Sweet Comfort Band, or is there anything new?
Well, no, you know, these days, you know, in the last few years, you know, making records the way we used to, put them in a CD, put them in a music store, you know, and all that stuff is gone. Everything's download. It's hard to pay off a single song if you're only getting $1.29 for it. So, I mean, that's made it really difficult. So I don't, you know, we're doing song at a time and we're putting it on YouTube, and, you know, they eventually wound up on my website and the podcast. And on my podcast, I've been posting songs that didn't make the last record. So you can hear some of them are demos, and some of them are full-blown produced things that we recorded or we wrote, but there was no place to put them. And they're, you know, we're independent now. We're not on a label, and what else? There's no distribution for it, so everything is do it yourself these days.
Okay. So YouTube, is it on Spotify, anywhere like that?
There's a glare on your TV screen. There you go. Well, I don't like Spotify. They rob musicians blind. I mean, Don't kid yourself. If you sell a song on there, they're going to send you 0.007 cents.
Wow.
Per song sold. I'm going, no. You know, I don't. They wouldn't even give me a discount on Spotify in my car. And I'm going. Oh my God. I called them on the phone. I'm going, you guys got 140 of my songs, and you're not going to give me Spotify for free in my car? You got to be kidding me. Yep. So I don't subscribe to them, and I don't, you know, I know people are going to use them, but, you know, I've reached a curmudgeon age where I'm going, I don't have to do what you say, and I'm not going to listen to that. Or, you know, a lot of they've just taken everybody's music, and you see those commercials where they say, subscribe to our application and we'll give you 6,000 free songs. And I'm going, man, just throw everybody under the bus. And I will rest my case.
I kind of feel like we're interviewing Dale Thompson right now.
Well, I didn't mean to get mean, but I'm turning into a curmudgeon in my old age.
Well, you know what? We like it again, realism,
Yep.
and that's we didn't have you on to make up stuff. We had you on because people want to hear what you have to say. We want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I still have a tendency to love people when I get to know them. It's easy to hate people you don't know. That's what I've learned, and then it's harder when you get the backstory, when you know something about why they are the way they are. I'm immediately repulsed by video clips where somebody's in their car with their phone in their face, screaming at it. I'm going, you're not. That's not going to make a bit of difference.
Nope.
Most people, I think, need counseling and don't get it, and it's expensive. And I've had counseling, so I'm probably doing better than most. At least I know better than to scream at my phone.
Teddy Bates comes in with a question for you. What's your favorite song from Soul Revival?
Well, it's actually called Slow Revival, but the music is soul, so you're kind of there. My favorite song. Now I got Teddy. I gotta Google the record and see what's on there. Isn't Slow Revival? Didn't it have a Heavenly Light? That was pretty good lyrics. I'm going. I was talking about the way Paul had that conversion experience where, he thinks he's doing right, thought I was doing right, but then all of a sudden a heavenly light goes on. It's a little brighter than it was before. I mean, where he got knocked down and struck blind. And I'm going, I can relate to that. That's usually when I discover that I might be wrong about something, because I have to be just thumped in the head. And, that turned Paul around, but struck him blind for about 3 days, wasn't it? Wasn't it 3 days?
Yeah.
So, that was called A Heavenly Light, and that's on the Slow Revival record. There was another one, too, that I did called Lonely Tonight. Because it never dawned on me that you could be lonely and be a Christian at the same time. There's a difference between lonesome and lonely. I guess, I don't know what that is yet, but I remember sitting outside and I was asking God. I was kind of apologizing for not feeling wonderful about knowing him. I'm going, I know you're there and I know you are with me and you got my back, but man, I feel alone. And that was the night that I remembered the first time I ever noticed that the moon rises in the sky. I didn't even notice that before. I watched the moon as it clears the wall, I think I said in that song. But, I know you love me and I know you care. I know you're always there, but I'm lonely tonight. And that was another one of those moments where I'm going, they're going to kick me out of Christian music. Oh, you remember there was another one before that where I said, way back, one of my first solo records where I said, some things can't be explained like you'd like them to be. I find it easier to curse than pray. And I thought, man, I've done it now. Keep writing me songs where you're going, they're not going to buy this stuff. Or like Love Takes Time, where you're going, the opening line is, have you ever been lied to? Thought to be something that you just can't be? Where's the love? And I'm going, I didn't think that would go either. That was a #1 song.
Yeah, that was a big hit.
Yeah, but all you got to do is read through the book of Psalms, and you see that David didn't hold back with the Lord.
No, and that's probably why he went the distance. David went the distance, in spite of the crap, and that's one of the things that really inspires me to read about the foibles of Moses and Samson, and man, they all screwed it up, and but they went the distance, and I think if David murdered people, he committed adultery, he did everything he could possibly do to burn in hell, and somehow God found redemption for him. Maybe because he always turned around and said that was wrong, and he came back. That's the only thing I can figure. And it's like they say in recovery. I had a friend of mine in a recovery program, because I used to play those all the time, and he was saying, "Well, I'm only here because I keep coming back." And I thought, and there is, in a nutshell, what faith is about.
Exactly.
It's my will to choose faith when I don't have a will to choose faith.
And sometimes life gets ugly and you've got to deal with it.
Yeah,
you know?
and there's some times where God's just going to let you go through it and not give you all the answers. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like the idea that God is testing you, but how else do you learn except that
Right.
you have to face uncertainties, and that's what a test is, when you don't know what the outcome is. And
Yep.
so I mean, I just think God sometimes he just doesn't say anything. We've been through a gauntlet of crap with my wife in the last month, and she's had nerve pain for 7 years and taking this medication that just knocks her out. And God hasn't said much about it. And it's like, are you going to walk with me through anything? Though he slay me, yet will I serve him.
I was going to quote that.
And that's where she's at. I mean, we went to a church for a long time where they didn't really talk to us because she hadn't been miraculously healed. Mm-hmm. And I got really, pissy about that. I'm going, I don't even want to be around these people because, suddenly if she's not healed, it's our fault. And I'm going, I don't think so. Because if it's your faith, at some point that starts to fall into the category of performance. Here, if I perform correctly, God will honor me. And I'm going, that's not grace. No. God didn't say that. Mm-mm. He said, I came that you might have life. You might have it more. And this is grace. And it's my grace that will get you through. And
he says, count it all joy when you fall into various trials.
Yeah.
Not if, right?
He said, count it all joy when, because it's coming.
Yep.
You tell him I'm coming and I'm bringing hell with me. Yeah, you guys are on the right track with me. I'm going, I've gotten to the point where, no matter what happens, because a lot of my friends are dying, and, God doesn't heal everybody, and it's appointed unto man wants to leave this earth. And I don't know why we're here so long or what we're supposed to be doing sometimes. But I know one thing that, come hell or high water, I'm going, no, God is the only thing that is going to meet me at the end of my life. He's, it's just going to be me and him,
Yep.
And so I continue to say, well, I don't know what you're doing, but I will follow you to the end. And my wife she's a sweeter heart than I am about that. Because, when we pray at dinner and stuff, she's just so sweet. And I'm going, why aren't you pissed? It's like, she's just getting reamed. And I'm going, there was a couple of months where she was really bad. She was having seizures and, temporary paralysis, from those drugs. And, I'm going, I couldn't even pray. She would have to pray because I'm going, I got nothing to say to God right now. And, dear God, I'm not speaking to you. Like, I've written that's a prayer you won't hear at church too. Dear God, I'm not speaking to you. And he's okay with that. I thought that was pretty surprising that, when I got over myself, he was still there.
Yep. He'll never leave us nor forsake us.
Yeah.
Well, I'm grateful for that, because I don't know why we thought we'd be, sitting in a rocking chair on the porch. I always got the impression that when you got old, you had accomplished everything, and now you can kick back and you're rocking and you're, it's all good. It's all good from here out. No, the fourth quarter is the worst quarter. It's like you're behind, and you better come up with a plan. So that's kind of where we are these days.
Well, I got to tell you, Bryan, you've been an inspiration to me. Just checking out, stuff that you've been posting. We're new to TikTok also, and so
Yeah, I met Bry. It said Bry Carmen, and I thought it was, is that a cross between me and Carmen? Because
Well, I lost my other Facebook account because of an old email. So instead of doing Bryan Carmen again and confusing everybody, I put Bry Carmen.
yeah, well, whatever they call. If they just call you by your name, you're doing good. Because I I had some guy on TikTok or whatever it is. Come on there. He says, "What's up, old man?" And I'm going, obviously he knows me from 30 years ago because, he felt like he could talk to me like that without any. I said, you should be calling me Your Majesty. And
That's funny.
well, we've reached the end of our time. Again,
now it's time to say goodbye to Duncan and all his friends.
Yep.
DUNCAN BRYAN Bryan Duncan. Okay.
That flowed nice. Anything you want to say? Parting words? Something you want to leave the audience with?
I'd love to hear from you on nutshellsermons.com. 2-minute antagonistic devotions, and then I tell stories about Jesus and music, and I cover all the records and a lot of the people that I worked with, and they're only 8 minutes long, and the sermons are 2 minutes long. It's where I say, where the sermons are 2 minutes long and the congregation is 5 minutes late. So come see me at nutshellsermons.com. Yeah,
please do. You will not be disappointed. Like I said, I've been digging it. I've been really enjoying what I hear and check it out there. So, Mr.
Cool.
Duncan, this has been quite an honor for us to have you with us tonight. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and just sitting down with two guys that you probably never heard of before and just being real with us. So this has been really awesome. Thank you.
Well, I'll keep track of you going forward. I'm going, I know those guys. Brycar and Holland or
close enough.
I get that name. All right.
All right. Bryan Carmen, anything you want to say before we close out tonight?
Yeah, Bryan, once we end, just stay on for a couple minutes so we can talk. But
okay.
Everybody out there, what I say, read your Bible every day, pray every day, and just get real with God because things are coming to a close pretty soon, I feel. Now, pretty soon could be 20 years, it could be 10 years, it could be 5 minutes, but Jesus is coming back. Make sure you're living for him.
Amen. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for the great comments. Thanks for the participation tonight, and we'll see you all again, Lord willing, next Sunday night.